I think even the NTA government at the center could not have imagined how quickly the opposition would self-destruct in this monsoon session of parliament. In the last few weeks, there has been a cavalcade of one misstep after another by the opposition, culminating yesterday in Congress Member of Parliament Pratap Singh Bajwa's obscene nuisance show in Parliament. I have never seen such a meltdown, and it now appears as if all reason has deserted some of the stellar lights of the opposition. There might be a method to the madness, though. I will discuss that in a moment. But as of today, the much talked about game plan of the opposition to corner the Modi government is in complete disarray. Hi, and welcome all to the CAA show. My name is Juggi Bhasin. CAA is, of course, conversations and analysis. So, look at the trajectory of the opposition behavior. The entire session, in a sense, began with the tearing of papers in the hallowed precincts of Parliament and ended with Mr. Bajwa climbing on a table and throwing a file or the rule book, as he called it. In between, there were cycle and tractor marches, which made us wonder why we were witnessing a Sunday carnival when we should have been listening to serious debates in Parliament. All this begs the question, who was the architect of this game plan and what was the need to resort to these measures? My own analysis is that Mr. Rahul Gandhi led the charge with this new strategy. To give him credit, or perhaps he should share some of the credit with Prashant Kishore, he did manage to get a significant part of the opposition to follow suit and resort to similar tactics. If you note carefully the growth of Mr. Gandhi's career, ever since he stepped off holding any official position of responsibility in the Congress, he has been experimenting with all kinds of bizarre ideas and outreach. It would not be a stretch to say that Mr. Gandhi has abandoned what was once known as his Kalavati model of politics, where he would visit the poor and the afflicted and spend time with them. He would then sometimes follow up by making a little absurd but still very earnest speeches in Parliament. But now, in his new avatar, free of all responsibility and accountability, he uses Twitter, other social media, and videos to push forward a side of him which is aggressive, questioning, and over the top. This outreach is complemented by dramatic events like arriving to Parliament on a tractor. Mr. Bajwa's atrocious behavior in Parliament was in the same way. You almost had the sense that it was Mr. Gandhi's thinking that had impelled Mr. Bajwa to climb on the table and do the ludicrous things he did. Make no mistake about it. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has convinced himself that the only way to get to the youth, the minorities, and the disaffected is to make a din, make a spectacle of things, and present facts where truth is the first casualty. He has convinced himself that India's young support this kind of behavior. He also believes that the only way to counter up in Punjab is to seize the initiative with the striking farmers, even if it means Mr. Bajwa doing his antics on a table in Parliament. I leave it to the discretion of the viewer to decide if this is what really the young in India are looking for. What, for me, is amazing that even the sober elements in the opposition have joined in and have stalled parliamentary proceedings. So, the question is, why is the opposition doing this collective harakiri? The answer, perhaps, lies in the fact that India has had enough of dark days, bad news of the pandemic and negativity, and wants to move on. No one is in a mood to listen to how bad, how sad. People are looking for hope, a return to positivity. The opposition and members of the media have realized that there were not many takers for the gloom of the pandemic and other negative developments. So, the new game plan was unfurled to pitch a brand new issue like Pegasus to take center stage of things. It was decided that through Pegasus, the Modi government would be portrayed as a government of snoopers listening into private conversations and subverting the democratic process. The architects of this strategy assumed that since Pegasus meant cell phones and India's youth was addicted to cell phones, this issue would resonate with them in a big way. And this would be enough to make the youth angry and revive the flagging fortunes of Mr. Gandhi and the Congress party. A bonus would be that the public opinion would turn against Modi and his government once again. I don't have to tell you how this entire strategy is in a shambles today. The people of the country have given a thumbs down to the Pegasus issue. The simple reason for that is that the Pegasus issue is not an emotive issue for the people of the country. In fact, it is a non-issue for the people and the young. The same youth who are addicted to their cell phones know very well that they themselves sign away their privacy every time they download a new app. I think the reality is finally sinking in the opposition that all their antics connected with Pegasus have backfired. Desperation is setting in the opposition ranks. It is well known that when a person becomes desperate, he or she behaves even more ridiculously to attract attention. That maybe explains Mr. Bajwa's insane acts in Parliament. So, the BJP really has not to do anything much but just sit back, make soothing noises and appeals for Parliament to function smoothly and watch the opposition self-destruct. In hindsight, I personally believe that if Mr. Rahul Gandhi had stuck to his earlier avatar and moved around holding the hand of the poor and the dispossessed, he would have been better served. Yes, he would have made some gaffes, but in the long run, his credibility would have been higher. But in his new avatar as an over-the-top social media acolyte, he forgets that the medium is just one of the messages for the communicator and the aspiring politician. The medium is not the end goal. Elections are won by hard work and battles on the ground, not by being cute on social media. And that's all we have for today. And this brings us to the end of the show. Do subscribe to us. We would love to have many, many more subscribers. And have a wonderful night and cheers. And we will meet you again soon with a new episode.